Welcome everyone to this webinar. I am super excited about this webinar because you guys are going to learn some amazing things from amazing physical and occupational therapists that took the initiative to start and build their own practice. They're all mobile-based therapists that have also started or are doing unique different things besides just home visits, or have added some different programs along with their home visits. So the objectives for tonight, can you guys see my screen, by the way? Hopefully, okay. So the objectives for tonight is basically to showcase joint ventures, programs, and additional revenue streams besides home visits. And for those of you that do not know me, my name is Kara Welke. I'm an occupational therapist and the creator of the Next Level Occupational Therapy group. And for those of you that do not know, we have a therapy business builder program where we help therapists start and build their business. And I'm excited to say that Regina, Megan, Carly, and Dawn were all in our therapy business builder program and doing amazing things. So excited to have them in here along with Mike, who I think everyone should know. If not, you need to know Mike, who does amazing things, and Sue Doyle as well, who does a lot with our Next Level platform. So let's get started. And Megan has a busy schedule, so she's going to go ahead and go first. So Megan, I will let you take over.
All right, Kara. Can you hear me okay? Because I am in my car. Okay. Kara says I'm busy, but she's just as busy. I just coach volleyball and run around all the time. So, and she does the same as mom. But I'm Megan Dooley, and I own Innovative Therapy Solutions and Consulting. I am up in Bismarck, Mandan, North Dakota. So a few hours from Kara. And a couple of things I just want to touch on that our company has been doing. One thing with having, my own business and mobile and just really emphasizing more time and community-based things is we really try to look at grants and different ways to get in the community that isn't just reimbursed by insurance. So we submitted for a grant in January and we got a Parkinson's grant in June. And so we are doing a community group that is focused on psychosocial concerns and coping with a chronic illness for caregivers and the individuals with Parkinson's. It actually runs 8 weeks. It starts next week. So it's really exciting. And it's going to run 8 weeks this fall and then 8 weeks in the spring, with the goal of it becoming a part of our YMCA and Health and Wellness Center, who offers a lot of power moves and physical types of groups, and incorporating this coffee type group where they can sit down in small groups and just talk about what is it like to have Parkinson's or care for somebody with Parkinson's. Is what only in North Dakota. I think I just saw something for that. The group. Does that just pop up? I'll keep going, but if you find it, the group actually, if they want to do a Zoom component, there is a Zoom component it'll start in the spring because we didn't have anybody for Zoom right now. But we have Zoom and then face-to-face for people. And so if you get the word out, let me know. We have about 3 or 4 therapists who are helping to lead those different groups. So that's been really exciting. It also has really helped us just bond with that population as we serve a lot of them. So it's a great outreach for clients and just to really teach them different skills besides just therapy. Skills to care in.
Megan, I'm going to stop you really quick. So for instance, Connie, if your half of your caseload has Parkinson's, then this would be something that you could do in your area, is write for this grant. Because where did you write for this grant?
I got it from the Parkinson's Foundation, actually. And, more than willing, something in this group too with Kara and them that's been great is we will share as much as we can to help everybody grow and just give back to our communities and be successful in business. So if anyone ever wanted to pursue that, no problem sharing, the grant proposal and some of those things because they're tedious and timely. But yeah, if you ever wanted to do something that my caseload is very much 75%, 80% Parkinson's and dementia. So it's just a good way to keep integrating ourselves into that situation. But
Yeah, we might want to do actually a separate webinar just on Parkinson's and have like Megan as well as Carly, because she's doing a lot of stuff with that as well. So that would be something we could explore in the future if people are interested. So awesome.
yeah, yeah, good questions. Oh, I like that idea too. And I also like bringing in, I know Kara, Sue, lots of people write grants and things, and it's really hard if you've never had to navigate that. And, willing to bring those things to any group thing too, because it is a process. Skills to Care is for caregivers of dementia and people with dementia. It's a program that Kara's went through. I don't know who else that's on today has went through it. And Kara has just also brought on one of her therapists who's got certified, and we have two in our company that do it as well. And we just recently expanded from in-home Skills to Care to actually doing this in a SNF. And we have a memory care facility that is not paid or covered by Medicare Part A. It's actually like a residential facility. And we just started doing Skills to Care in that facility for the paid caregivers. And this has been a really unique, challenging experience. It's very different to implement something when the caregivers are changing all the time. So I have learned and tried to get a lot more creative with how you get the carryover by using a lot of folders and binders. I actually block out at least 2 hours to be in the nursing home versus what we would think of. My light went off. Sorry about that. But blocking off time, to just see somebody for 45 minutes or an hour and a half, just for one client, I will hang out or write notes for over 2 hours just to catch the caregiver or make sure I'm fitting into their schedule. And that's coordinated between the unpaid caregivers, the family members, and the paid caregivers and the nursing staff or the care management team. So we sit down and have full meetings about the individual and what everyone's goals are. And then we kind of work from there. So not just the unpaid or paid caregivers, but everyone comes up with our goals to help better the care for people. It's been interesting. So if you guys look into Skills to Care, it's very different in the home setting where it's one caregiver all the time, kind of building that rapport. In the nursing home and in the memory care facility, it's many caregivers and many CNAs and different staff. And the hope for me is that it changes slowly over time and that you catch one or two who really want to make a difference. And that's who sticks around and cares for these people. So there's that going on. And then a grant to train QSPs who work with clients with dementia. That has another way, one for revenue, but just something different. So in North Dakota and probably across the country, we have a very large deficit of qualified service providers right now. And an interesting thing in North Dakota is that our state is in a little bit of scrutiny by the federal government for having too many people in nursing homes. And so they're trying to keep people at home longer, but now we have a great shortage of qualified service providers. The Alzheimer's Association and our state have decided that to work with people with Alzheimer's to reduce burnout, that they're going to require the service providers to watch a really long training on how to work with people with dementia. And the Alzheimer's Association kind of decided that that's great, but we all know each person is different. And if we have to sit down and watch a video, we may not watch that. So our plan is to write a grant to cover our travel around the state of North Dakota to work with paid caregivers in how to work with people with dementia so that we don't have a great burnout. And that has been a great bond with the state and the Alzheimer's Association here in North Dakota and partially Minnesota to get some of that stuff going. And so that's just another thing that we are doing that is not day-to-day in the home. And finally, the other thing that I've incorporated, I forgot to put it on here, is I started also carrying vitamin and supplemental products that are for neurological conditions, just for gut health, and a lot of those things as neurological progressive diseases tend to impact our memory and our digestive system and UTIs and all those things with lots of medications. So that is another way that I have supplemented and added to my business income wise, and just something that I really enjoy doing. And that is something that only specific people can carry some of these products. And so that's been really fun to incorporate that into my whole health and wellness of individuals, not just physically, not just cognitively, but are they having a lot of UTIs? Are they having a lot of heartburn, reflux stuff from medications? And can we help them to decrease some of that? So that is me in a nutshell, and what we do a little differently.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Megan? I will just ask a few things. So how long have you had your business?
I started April 20th of 2020. So not very long.
And you grew very, very quickly. How many staff do you have?
Well, we have 3 PTs now and 2 other OTs besides me, and a speech therapist and a part-time admin. So very quickly, yes. Kind of blown up.
And you do home modifications too, right?
Yes, that's a huge component. And actually, my sister, who I briefly messed into in the past to some people, she is in town right now. So she is specializes in universal design, and she's an interior design. So we work together on projects. And I feel like, because I know Sue will talk about that, but I feel like home modifications becomes part of every session when you work in the home and even in the nursing home, as they're looking at building new nursing homes and new facilities. So that is something I highly recommend to anybody that's doing mobile therapy, because your eyes will catch lots of things, and it's a natural progression of treatment to kind of encompass the person, the environment, and the occupation. But I know that sounds funny, the PEO, but it's very, very valid in mobile therapy. So, yep.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. We have a couple quick questions. Do you bill Medicare for home mod evals, or do you have a general contractor, or do you just consult?
I do all 3, actually. I consult for the state. There's private pay. And then if there is a new medical diagnosis or reason for the home eval, then I do get covered by Medicare.
And do you have a particular preset format that you follow for your Parkinson's group?
So I should share that too. So I did about 4 or 5 years of studies with students. I was a professor for about 4.5, 5 years. And that's all I did my research on, was community groups with people with Parkinson's and their caregivers. So I actually took that and just modified it a little bit. So to meet kind of the standards of the foundation and what they wanted. So it's on coping skills, mental wellness and coping skills, battling isolation, health and wellness, and there's one other topic that we go over. So I'm really just looking at anxiety, not sleeping, depression, loss of roles for caregivers and individuals with Parkinson's, and talking about how we can have healthy coping skills and improve everyone's quality of life. So that is my format, is what we kind of created with the students over a 5-year span.
Awesome. Yeah, you and Carly definitely need to get together. Who pays for the skills to care in the nursing home?
Actually, if they have used up their Medicare Part A, Medicare Part B is paying for it. Or in North Dakota, we have a managed Medicare. I just had to apply for visits, and they gave me 11 visits per person. That's under that managed Medicare. And then the managed Medicare directly pays me.
Awesome. I think, how do you go about getting in contact with someone for new builds of a skilled nursing facility or assisted living facility to work on modifications?
I have a contractor I'm in touch with here, but also you just kind of got to be nitty gritty about it. I also just recently reached out to the Bismarck Mandan building or home building association, because they do have people on their boards that are of other professions. So yeah, it's kind of just getting out there and talking to people. I also am part of a master network group, which has been leaps and bounds over some other groups. because they only allow one type of profession in the group. So if you're an OT, there cannot be another OT. If you're a builder, there can't be another builder. And that has been immensely helpful for me as well.
Awesome. So can you bill Medicare Part B in the nursing home?
Yep, I do it right now. Yep.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, we can talk more about the billing for Medicare managed care and so forth. So awesome. Well, Megan has somewhere to be in just a few minutes. So if you have additional questions, you can ask and we can send out a message afterwards, you know, with a follow-up and so forth. So thank you, Megan, for joining us. Have a fabulous night. And next up is Mike. So Mike Chua does tons of different things. If you guys don't know who he is, make sure you check out the Alternative Careers Facebook group. But he recently, I mean, he's been doing, how long have you been doing mobile home visits?
Since I got fired like 2 years ago. 2019, December, right?
Awesome. And when did you open up your Jerry Hab?
Just a month ago, August the 13th.
Awesome. So he does tons of different things and not just mobile home visits. So I'm super excited to have him here to talk about how those of you that have a mobile practice want to also open up, you know, like a Jerry Hab type clinic as well. Mike's also an author. I mean, how many books have you written, Mike?
Well, all in all, we got like 20 plus books. So we specifically write books that will market us. So for example, we go to those memory care. I give my misunderstanding dementia book. If somebody asks, hey, Michael, I want to talk about falls, I'll write a book about falls. Not right. I'll pay someone to do it. Or for example, how to choose your retirement home. So what I would do is I would find someone to write a book for that, and I would co-write it with those administrators, assisted living people who owns those facilities. And now they'll think, oh, I'm just going to give this book to my clients who are coming into these retirement homes. Well, guess what? At the back of those book, right? At the back of the book of how to choose your retirement home, well, guess what? They're going to give my book, has their name and my business card and everything. So that's one of the many uses of those books. So we're going to talk about that too in a minute, real quick. So yeah.
And also I mean, I know he's doesn't necessarily do this right now, but he's also done lead seminars, and there's so many more things. So Mike, take over.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much. I feel like I'm amazing now too, because, you know, always remember this, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Right now, we're hanging out with this awesome people, Kara, Regina, Dawn, Carly, Sue, and Megan, just talking about how amazing they are. And I feel like I'm going to be amazing now. Well, guess what? Before I was hanging out with people who were also complaining in life, and I got stuck there. Sometimes you just got to get out of that comfort zone and look for people who are actually also winning. All right. Look for people who are actually doing it too. I was just coaching this lady on the internet, whatever you call that, Zoom, whatever. I don't know. I just do the Zoom or whatever. And she said, Michael, I mean, I'm afraid to start my own mobile practice like what Kara's doing, because all the people I've asked is I'm gonna fail. I said, who are these people you're asking? Well, people who hasn't even started their own business. And she said, well, someone started and she failed. Well, of course you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. I mean, my program, Kara's program, I failed. I got rejected. Right now, we serve 5 assisted livings, and then of course our outpatient clinic. Out of those 5 assisted living, I probably approached 100 assisted livings in our area. Well, not 100, probably 50 or something. I got rejected. I was even banned in one assisted living. Specifically told me, hey, can you come back here, Michael? And I thought they're going to give me some patients. And they literally gave a letter, don't ever come back in this facility. And then, you know, had me sign a paperwork that I cannot go inside that facility anymore. So you're going to fail. but the key here is you just keep going. All right. Well, let's go back to the topic. All right. So I like what Megan said here. You got she has a niche. What is her niche? Parkinson's. My niche, the seminars that I teach is called the Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Care Seminar. Do you think I'm the dementia expert? No. Tipa Snow is the dementia expert. Kara is the dementia, Parkinson's expert. I'm not even, but I'm teaching it because I want to be the expert, just at least here in my area. So that's what I do. I teach a class, a CEU class on how to be a certified dementia practitioner. And I go to those different facilities and teach that specific class. So you need to find that niche first, okay? So what's the next thing that you need to do is you educate. You educate those people in that specific niche. You educate them about the services that you provide. Oh, by the way, I'm Michael. I'm a physical therapist, and this is my specialty, Alzheimer's or dementia, or Parkinson's, or home modification. You educate them. You also entertain them. I teach a class, a group exercise class. Well, no, I no longer teach now. We have a team that teaches it, but I still teach it every now and then, And every time I'm teaching the group exercise, I actually educate them. Oh, by the way, this exercise here is going to improve your lungs, blah, 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 and educate them, right? So you got to learn how to educate them. Next is you got to learn how to empower those actual patients or caregivers, all right? By the way, the topic here is actually hybrid. Anybody here who drives a hybrid before? Anybody type in hybrid in the chat box? Type in hybrid. Hybrid. I don't even know how to spell it, but type in hybrid. Remember, Alexandra drives one. Kate, Sharon drives a hybrid. Remember the very first time that Toyota launched this? Remember the very first time that they launched it? Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's a bad car. Blah, blah. It doesn't look good. Well, guess what? Almost all manufacturers now have a hybrid car. And if you don't change up with the times, if you don't catch up, well, guess what? You're going to be part of those people who will get fired. I got fired, right? I got fired. I'm like, seriously? I was like, I had all the letters behind my name, PT, DPT, CADD, all the G, everything, but I still got fired. And don't wait for that time to get fired. Sign up and join the class, what Kara's teaching, because that's the first step. Okay, that's the first step. Okay, all right. So next is you find that niche. All right, find that niche. Whatever. Type in your niche there. Type in what kind of niche I want to serve. Me, I'm serving dementia. Type in there, whatever niche, pediatrics, whatever, or home modification, and then go down, hone on it. Home modification. What kind of home modification? What age? All right. What age of home modification? What type of disease? Home modification for strokes, home modification for Parkinson's, home modification, whatever. Katie said lymphedema. What else? Lymphedema for women, right? Well, or whatever, I don't know. Wheelchair evaluation for athletes. Fall prevention for whom? Fall prevention for kids, fall prevention for adult. Chronic pain, what kind of chronic pain? So you got to niche down, right? Niche down in order for you to scale up. That's what I did. I niched down to Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, guess what? The surgeons in the area, they've been sending Alzheimer's and dementia patients who have hip replacement. Do I just treat dementia and Alzheimer's? No, they send, Alzheimer's and dementia patients who had hip replacement to me. Does that make sense? Very good. I see Connie, putting down her specific niche. Lisa's here. There you go. So once you've identified your niche, remember I talked to you about you educate. You start educating the community. You got to put yourself out there. All right. Don't be shy. Go to TikTok. I don't have TikTok, by the way. No, go to Facebook. Okay, if you have a Facebook, you already saw this webinar through Facebook. What's stopping you? Because you need to put yourself out there. To be honest, we just started our Jerihab clinic, our outpatient clinic, August the 13th. It was Friday the 13th, right? And I said, what the heck with Friday the 13th? We're just going to launch. So we opened Friday the 13th, August the 13th. We're already full caseload now, and I have a full-time PTA there, and then now we're wanting to hire another PTA so we could have 2 PTAs there. All right, did that make sense? So you got to learn how to educate. You put yourself out there. Kara, am I talking too much? Let me know.
No, you're good.
Just do this to me, okay? All right. I can speak all day, right? Because I teach an 8-hour class, by the way. So you got to educate. You got to put yourself out there. If you are not going to put yourself out there, you're going to get the CARES program. And if you're going to be shy, networking, to be honest, don't even get CARES program. All right. Because you're just going to fail and you're just going to blame Kara. You're just going to blame us. Oh, because it wasn't successful. But it wasn't successful because you didn't put yourself out there. Imagine me, a little Filipino kid, talking in English. I don't even know how to speak English. Anybody foreign language here, or whatever you call that? English as their third, second language. It's hard, but you have to put yourself out there. Okay. All right. Next is you network. You gotta learn how to go out there. Yes, you're gonna be shy. Yes, oh, I don't know how to do this. Well, you have to put yourself out there. This is the only way you're going to achieve financial freedom. This is the only way you're going to be able to, there you go, Sue. Yeah, she's Australian. There you go, Sue. Howdy, mate. No, this is the only way for you to be able to market yourself. You got to network. You got to talk to those referring providers. You got to reach out to them. They're not going to go to you. When you put up, okay, I got my Mike Chua physical therapy or Jerry Happ, they're not going to go to you. You got to go to them and offer your services and serve. Okay. Next is letter T. You got to find a team that will bring out the best in you. Not a team in your neighbor there who's going to start complaining too. A team like Kara's team, Regina's team, Dawn's team, Carly's team, Sue. You know what? I call Sue all the time. Well, not all the time. At least probably. And I ask her, hey, Sue, how can I do this? You got to have a team. You cannot do this on your own. I have a team. I have 4 virtual assistants. They would call and answer the phone. I have, a total of 16 employees now, both 1099 and W2. I know Kara's like, oh, you still have 1099? Yeah, they are 1099. But, they're going to talk about that too in the future. But you got to find a team, okay? You know what's the next? It's letter O, one-on-one. You have to find a one-on-one coach, okay? You got to find a one-on-one coach. You got to be coach first. Is that the term there? You got to learn how to be coach first before you can coach other people. All right? Because if you don't have a learning and teachable heart, that's what my wife always tells me. You need to have a teachable heart, because if you think you know it all, you're not going to be successful in this business. You got to have a teachable heart. You got to learn, oh, I don't know this. I got to learn this. Okay. So be coachable. Have a one-on-one coach. Kara, Regina, Dawn, Carly, and Sue. They're awesome coach. They will guide you. Okay. And last is you have to have a repeat or recurring revenue. Okay. A repeat or recurring revenue. Why? Because if you're not making money, it's just a hobby. Okay. It's just a hobby. Okay. I'm going to do, a one home modification today. And then I'm doing that next week. It's a hobby, right? But you have to have a repeat or recurring revenue. That's why we write the program twice a week for 4 weeks. That's why we're called the money generating department of different facilities, because we have this repeat and recurring revenue. That's why physicians, they want to own their own physical therapy clinic before, right? Because because there's a repeat and recurring revenue. Imagine a lot of people will say, especially in our group, Alternative Career, oh, our field is a dying profession. No, it's not. We imagine physicians, they get to see the patient every 6 months. Every 6 months. Would you survive in seeing a patient every 6 months? No. They have to load up their patients. Imagine how many patients you have to have in order for you to be able to just see every 6 months. Unlike us, we get to see them twice a week. We can even write down orders for every day. I wrote down an order 5 days a week for 2 weeks just right now, because the patient really needed it. So you have to have that repeat or recurring revenue. All right. Am I talking too much, Kara? So let me just recap.
Okay. We have some questions for you. So recap.
Okay. Letter M is meet a need. Meet a niche. Okay. Specific niche. Right. And next letter is letter E, you educate. It's mentor, mentor. Letter E is educate. Educate them about the services that you provide. Go to TikTok. I'm dancing, something like that. You're dancing. So educate. You empower them. You empower them and you equip them. And next letter is letter N, you network. Network with those people. Talk to Sue. I want to be a home modification. Network with the surrounding. I go to the Office of Aging and Alzheimer's Association. I'm a regular speaker in Alzheimer's Association. Do they pay me? No, heck no. I mean, they don't pay me. They don't even pay me a dime. But guess what? I'm in front of those audience who needed Alzheimer's and dementia care. Does that make sense? So, of course, sometimes I go to associations and conferences and I speak. That's part of my alternative career. I speak for a living. But Alzheimer's Association, they're not going to pay you. But you're in front of those audience. Now, of course, like I also speak for Tennessee Hospital and Tennessee Administration, Nursing Home and Assisted Living Administrator. Yes, they pay me there for my keynote, but you can always start with your local association. That's they're not paying you, but you're going to be in front. For example, go to Parkinson's Association or whatever you call that. Okay, so network. Next letter is T. Find a team. This is a team already. You're a team already here. This is a team already. Next, one-on-one coach. You need to get one-on-one coaching because that's how you're going to hone down, just like therapy. You can attend a group exercise, right? CrossFit or whatever, but it's better if you have a one-on-one personal trainer, right? An accountability partner. And last but not least, you have to find that repeat or recurring revenue because that's how you're going to win in this game. All right. Oh, okay. There's some questions here.
So Mike, your Jerihab, what kind of, is that private pay or insurance?
That's a great question. You know what? One thing I learned being a foreigner, if you don't know the answer, that's how you answer. You say to people, that's a great question. Let me Google it real quick. No, it's actually both. Okay. So we've been doing mobile, okay, or mobile, however you pronounce it. And then, okay, we decided to switch to assisted living and we save a little bit of money. Now we open up Jerihab. Most of the people in the assisted living and the family members, they say, oh, I want to do this too, Michael. But of course, because of COVID, they can't go to those assisted living. And I said, well, I got to look for an open space where we can do the group exercises. So in the Jerihab, we do group exercises there. And then of course the one-on-one therapy. But here's the caveat. Here's the caveat. Ooh, that's a deep, English there or whatever. It's deep to me. I can even spell it. Here's the niche there. We evaluate them first for physical therapy. And then once they've reached their quote unquote cap and goals, we discharge them to wellness where they still pay cash. So you have the continuity of care there. Now, here's the thing. Okay, they get hospitalized, right? They get hospitalized. They're doing the wellness and they get hospitalized. Well, guess what? We do the mobile at home. We follow them. There's a continuity of care. You're seeing them in that circle there. That makes sense. So that's what we've been doing in the assisted living. Patient goes to the hospital. I go visit them at the hospital, say hi, hello. Hey, hello, how are you, Mrs. Smith? And I talk to the case manager. Oh, by the way, this is our patients, by the way. Right? Okay. All right.
Mike, before we go to another question, do you, with your Jerihab, do your clients pay a monthly membership or do they pay per class or how does that work?
That's a great question again. If they have Medicare, you can see them once a month and that's your monthly fee. But if they don't have Medicare, they don't want to do the Medicare benefits, $97 a month. And imagine this, let's just say you have 50 people. That's already $5,000, right? Let's just say 100 people doing the group exercise. You already have 10,000 already. So that's the continuity of care.
Awesome. And then, there's questions on the assisted living facility. How do you get into assisted living facilities? And do you have a contract with them? Or what if there's other people in assisted living facilities and so forth? So I'd say we're going to give Mike about a couple more minutes and then we'll move on and then we can always come back just because our other presenters are on East Coast and it gets late for them.
Yep. That's a great question. Again, What's the question again? How do you go in? Okay, you don't go into those facilities that has, services already. You're just going to compete with them. They already have a contract in place. You go to those small mom and pop assisted living facilities that has, 50 rooms. Right now I have a contract with the big 100 room retirement home. I just got lucky there. But if you go there and there's nobody providing those services, that's where you come in. Obviously, if there's somebody already there, don't go in. It's already there. You just can't. And then when you go there, you obviously ask permission from the activity director. You provide, a free group exercise. Not unless they're willing to pay you. They paid me at first, and now because we do it regularly, well, I no longer charge them because we have patients already. So they have the money to pay you to do group exercises. There's a lady that goes in there. They pay her to do Zumba classes. There's I know Irene. She does. She and her husband does. What you call this ballroom dancing. They pay him $200 or $150 to do the ballroom dancing. So it just really depends on how your mindset is. Do you want to go there getting money now? Or do you want to go there planting the seed and then, being there for a month or so and then just planting the seed and eventually they're going to refer patients to you. All right. Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, so we will come back and get your questions answered, but again, I want to make sure we get all these other panelists in. So thanks, Mike. Again, he mobile hybrid therapist. He started his Jerry Hab just recently. He's an author, seminar, or does seminars, so many different things. So thank you, Mike, and we will come back to answer your guys' questions because I know you guys have a lot of them. But let's move to Dawn. Dawn, go ahead.
Hi, I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you everybody for letting me in, and Kara too. I am the owner of Aurora Independence, and we kind of run a mobile hybrid home modifications. My ultimate goal is to kind of just do home modifications. As the years have gone on, I've kind of realized that patient care, I love it, but I actually really, really love being in their houses, helping to make things easier for clients to age in place. So my niche is really going to be the home mods with older adults. And I have lucked out because my company actually partnered with a home health company and a foundation, and we are running a Capable program. So has anybody ever heard of Capable? If you have, write it in that chat box so I kind of know who's there. And if you don't know, I'm going to talk about it. It's called, I had to write it down because it's a long name, but it's Community Aging in Place, Advancing Better Living for Elders. And so that all means Capable. Basically, it's a client-centered, home-based intervention that is OT driven. So for any occupational therapists out there, it is such a unique opportunity because it is like, it's us. And sorry, Mike, love PTs. You guys get a lot. So we're just really excited to finally have something that is OT centric. And I enjoy it because it's really, really client centered. Traditional OT, we tend to drive the session, right? We're trying to tell people sort of what we think they should be doing, and we guide them in figuring out how to do it. With Capable, I am actually guiding that person and figuring out what their goal should be. So it is client-centered to the extreme. And even though I do client-centered interventions in my traditional therapy, I can tell you right now, the Capable side of it is even more interesting. And I see a lot going on in the chat box. So should I pause for a second?
Nope, you focus. I'm taking care of that.
Awesome.
And I'll ask your questions. So
yeah, I think a lot of those questions might be, how did I get this started? And again, to be honest, guys, this started 2 years before I even opened my company. I happened to know a girl that I did CrossFit with who worked for the home health company. She posted one day some random status about like, hey, has anyone ever heard of Capable program? We need an OT. And at the time I had no idea what it was. So I just Googled it. And then I emailed her back and I was like, well, I don't know about Capable, but I'm an OT. So like, let me know if you ever want to work on this because I'm your girl. And I just kept that conversation going for 2 years. And once I finally started my business about a year ago, they were really set on doing it. It's not a cheap program. The foundation's paying for it. So it's not to Medicare. It's not to any insurance companies, though that is the goal. We're trying to gather research so that we can present it to insurance companies as a thing to worth paying for. But yeah, I managed to, it kind of landed in my lap because I just kept the conversation going, and I really, really hounded her. I was like, hey, any news on Capable? You guys still going to do Capable? What about that Capable program? And just kept going on it. And now we just implemented it. So my company's doing all the OT for it. It's me and an independent contractor helping me. And on top of
Dawn,
that,
I want to stop for you 1 second. So the Capable program, it's like this program that was developed, and an organization can pay to do the Capable program, but isn't it like 30,000?
It's a lot of money. Yeah, it's I think that to buy into it, it's like $20,000 for just the training of the staff. So it's an OT, a nurse, and a handyman basically go into somebody's house, and we provide very, very minor home modifications. But the main goal is to teach people how to problem solve and implement strategies for their own goals. So we're not going in and fixing huge homes, but like sometimes there are grab bars, sometimes there is a ramp. But it's 6 OT visits, 4 RN visits, and then the handyman comes in as needed. But yeah, it's the foundation that just has a whole chunk of change, and it's about $3,000 a participant. So they pay $20,000 to get access to the trainings, and then per participant, they've kind of budgeted about $3,000, which pays for the professionals, but also helps cover maybe $1,000 is what we have for repairs and things like that.
And with the Capable, so it's organizations throughout the United States can do this. So it might be, the
Habitat for Humanity has one here in Philly. We are doing one. So we're the home health company. And there's a third one with us. I want to say the VA in Philadelphia has a program. And each program kind of runs theirs very, very uniquely. So Capable is evidence-based approved. It's got lots of research with it. Feel free to go to Johns Hopkins nursing program and read more about it. They have a great FAQ on it, but it's each program kind of runs it in their own way. So there's overarching goals and rules, but how you implement it kind of depends on your population, your foundation, wherever the money is coming from. Ultimately, they want Medicare and Medicaids to pay for these, because for every $3,000 you spend on a client, the research is showing that it can save up to $20,000 in hospitalizations and doctors and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to really show the research that it's worth it to spend it preemptively so that you don't pay it on the back end. So the program I'm helping to implement will hopefully help with that research. So it's really unique. They're not everywhere. It's really hard to get into. Again, it was kind of just I was really annoying. And so my company managed to offer it. So
yeah, people are just wondering how to learn more. So basically Google Capable, and it's through John, is it through Johns Hopkins?
Yeah, Johns Hopkins School of Nursing is who developed it originally. And it's the nursing and the OTs together. So definitely just go to, it's actually nursing.johnshopkins.edu. If you go there or just type in Capable program, it will be one of the first couple that show up, and read through it. There's a lot of information there. But again, it's something that you have to be lucky to know somebody who has the money to run one.
Yeah. But I'm just going to interrupt and say, you don't have to be affiliated with Capable to run a similar program in your community. So this just is a big name program, but we talk in our certification course about how to set up your own and do things like that using billing Medicare and Medicaid.
Right. And I do both of those. So one, for me, it's a matter of where my paycheck comes from.
Yep.
But I actually use the skills from both in all of the things that I do.
Awesome. Okay.
What are the questions there?
I think that probably covers a lot of it about the Capable. If you want to talk more about your subcontractor.
Yeah, some of the other things that I'm doing is I'm a subcontractor for the city of Philadelphia. So I actually have, I go out and I do the home assessments and the follow-ups for their home modification program that is run through our Philadelphia Corporate of Aging and Housing Development foundations that are here. So again, I go out by the city for their regulations and I make very basic recommendations, but they have sort of a very clear idea of what they're going to do. So if they do a bathroom for someone, I just kind of help personalize it in certain ways, but they have a sort of script because they've been doing it for years. And I'm the subcontractor that does the eval and the follow-up. And then I also have recently added in a consulting role with a local nonprofit who does in-home mobile-based interventions with the certain couple zip codes that are here in Philadelphia. And this just happened this last week, so I'm really excited about it. They have a bunch of students from a few of the universities coming in and doing like a modified home intervention. So again, just like Sue was saying, it's a little bit of capable inspired, but it's run by some students and codas. And basically they have me kind of on the back end helping with the paperwork and following through to make sure that the students and the clients are getting what their grants are paying for. So again, very simple modifications, but it's really, really been kind of awesome and impactful that these programs exist. I will say Pennsylvania and Philadelphia are pretty advanced in some of this stuff, and I'm lucky in that sense. So.
Dawn, people are wondering if you've taken any specific courses that specialize in home mods, or if you have any certifications.
Yeah, so I do have my ECHM, so executive certification, home modifications, but I am going to toot Kara and Sue's horn here. Their home mods program has been honestly the most helpful. So if you guys are thinking about doing that home modification certification, it was really helpful. And that's what gave me the confidence to kind of jump in here and do these things.
Awesome. And then how were you able to become a subcontractor?
So they have a whole program where they open it up every year and you can apply. So sometimes it's companies that go in and sometimes it's individuals. So I will say I did join in with Hamoda and Hamoda got a contract and I am working under that.
Awesome. So Sue is like the home mods guru, and Dawn took our home mods course, and now we have transitioned that course into a certification course, home accessibility and safety therapist. And Sue will talk about that more in just a little bit. Okay, so I just want to highlight that. So Dawn started her mobile practice, and then she went and found all of these awesome opportunities to work with these other organizations and doing things that she really likes. And the ability to diversify and have different ways you're getting funds for your business is huge.
Yeah, I think I just kind of had the realization last night. I was like, wow, most of my money actually doesn't come from insurance right now. And I was like, that actually feels really good to know that I'm doing OT stuff that's so OT and it's not insurance driven, though I do traditional therapy as well and the home modifications through that. But
awesome. Yes, and she was in our therapy business builder program. That's right, yes. Mike. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, are you a one-man band, Dawn?
For the most part, yeah. I have one independent contractor who is taking maybe 10 to 20% of my capable clients for me because they have about 50 people they want to send through. But yeah, it is just me right now, and I am a little overwhelmed, but I got it.
That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Dawn. Very proud of everything that you've been doing. And if you have other questions, she's thinking about that, right?
Yes, I have to. I was going to say, Mike, I actually think I requested a VA through you, so we have to chat.
Yep. Okay, awesome. So, Regina, you're up.
Okay, well, I've learned so much so far, and I'm really excited about getting paid from ways that aren't just Medicare, or insurance driven. Okay, so I'm Regina. My business is Home Therapy Solutions, although I named it before I met Kara, Kara's business is also
we have the
home
same
therapy.
Business name.
Yeah,
Love it.
So I was like, oh, it's meant to be. I'll work with Kara. So my business is very new. I had my first patient on December 3rd last year, so it hasn't been a year yet. And originally I thought that I would just do OT cash based, like maybe I'll just do home modifications but I really love therapy and seeing patients. And then I found out that I have to bill Medicare. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's good because then I can see that many more patients anyway. And it just really took off very fast. And as I was seeing patients, I'm like, oh, wow, these people really need PT and I don't know what to do. Like they really do need PT. So I brought PT on, and at the same time, I brought OT assistants on, and then brought OTs like Janice, she's here in the webinar tonight. So I have a team of 2 OTs besides myself, 2 PTs, 2 OTAs, and now I have 3 PTAs. So I did have a speech therapist, but she moved. So I'll have to find another one of those. But we started, or in my marketing, I was like, people don't really get what OT is. Even PTs don't know what OT is. And a lot of people who aren't therapists don't understand what PT even is and why would we want to serve the geriatric population. So instead of talking about therapy, I formulated these 2 main programs. One is called Rehab at Home, and the other is Standing Strong. And they're basically talking to the same people, only Rehab at Home, we focus for those on people who've had illnesses or hospitalizations. So we can take that to discharge planners, to doctors' offices, and just say, hey, if you have someone who's had a hospitalization or an illness, then they want this Rehab at Home program. And Standing Strong is talking to people who've had a fall or injury. So we can take it to doctors, but we can also take it to like chiropractors, just different audiences, and say, if you know someone who's had a fall or an injury, they want the Standing Strong program. And what they get with both of these programs is they get the home safety assessment, and they get the, I'm about to say OT, but that's not how they get the home safety assessment, and they learn how to get back to being independent in their daily routine. And what I'm not saying is they get OT. And then they get the balance and strengthening and endurance training so that they get to be as strong as they were, or even better than they had when they had their fall. And both of those programs, of course, what I just said was OT and PT, but they're like, oh, ding, 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 my patient needs that. And then they refer us to go and see them. And then what is the continuity of care that I think Mike was talking about is the peace of mind visits. So I tell families immediately upfront, okay, I think you need the peace of mind, or excuse me, I think you need the Rehab at Home program. So we're going to start that. It might go for like 4 to 8 to 12 weeks. But after that, you're going to transition over to the peace of mind visits. And that is, we go and check on the patient, whether it's once a week or once a month, but we make sure that they're doing their exercise program. We make sure that their home is still safe, that they haven't declined. And that peace of mind is for the patient, but really it's for who? For their families, because they're the ones who are like, yes, we want that. And they pay cash for that program. So what we say is you have a therapist for life with the peace of mind visits. And then when that patient, God forbid they have a fall again, or they have a decline, we bring them right back on under the Medicare paid for services. And that really sets us apart too, so that we're always following that patient. We don't know of anybody else who's doing that. Okay. And then discharge planning is something that I am working on, where we are talking to the discharge planners at the hospitals who are completely like just crazy overwhelmed. And what it does is it leaves a bad taste in the mouths of other professionals who think that like the discharge planners just suck. They don't know what they're doing, but that's not true. They're just so busy. So what we're going to do is it would be a cash pay, but we're going to go into the patient's home ahead of time. And what I've done was like, I met with a wife whose husband was going to be discharged. And she's like, I want grab bars. But I'm like, well, what's his condition? Like, is he in a wheelchair? Can he walk? Because there are so many unanswered questions to know what he needs. So I actually can consult, or the therapist, we can actually consult with the therapist at the hospital or rehab center to determine his status. And then we can say, does he need a ramp to get into the home? Does he need the doors widened? Does he need grab bars? So we can do that consultation up front and then be there for the therapy sessions as soon as they get home. And then the only thing that is a catch in there is if they want to use home health, which we're not doing that. But if they want to use home health and a home health company will pick them up, because in our area, that's not always happening, then they can go over to home health for a short time, use their Medicare Part A benefits, and then come back to us. Because again, we're going to be their therapist forever. So I think that summed it up.
Yep. I have some questions for you. So, and I love how you package these together, the rehab at home, standing strong, peace of mind, and so forth. With your rehab at home, standing strong, that is, you bill Medicare for that, for your home safety assessment. The OT bills Medicare for that. Is that correct?
If the patient's there. So the rehab at home and standing strong program, usually the patient's there and we're going there to evaluate them because of some new change. So yes, almost always. We definitely have cash pay patients where like their insurance didn't work out. They have, one of those crazy HMOs or something like that. So, and I'm shocked at people totally like, yep, I'll pay. And I'm like, okay, you got to do a month at a time. Okay, cool. We'll do that. Yeah.
Awesome. And I would also like to add that Regina was and still is a real estate agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you utilize that in your practice at all?
It's funny that you should say that because at one of the assisted living companies or one of the assisted living communities that we serve, they have a patient there who says, I want to sell my house. And they just know that I'm in real estate too. So they're like, okay, she wants to talk to you about it. And she's not even my patient, but I have the relationship with the community. So I went in there and the patient's like, she has all these issues that she has to work through, but using the OT skills, I'm like, okay, I put together the timeline. She knows what she's supposed to do, when she's supposed to do it. The nurse at the community knows when the patient is supposed to do this. And they're like working together because of some potential elder abuse. But it's cool because the nurse said, like, did you use your OT skills to help her figure out how to sell the house? I'm like, actually, I did. It's funny. But yes, I use it. It's not my favorite thing, but I can definitely do that.
That's awesome. Do you mind sharing how much you're charging for the discharge planning and peace of mind visits?
Sure. The evaluation is $175 for an evaluation. So if the patient isn't there, like for the discharge planning, that's what it is. And then after that, if they book at least 4 sessions, so that's at least once a month, or excuse me, at least once a week for a month, it's $140 a visit.
Awesome.
And then what always happens, I'll just throw this out there. They always say, well, how many times do you need to come? And I'm like, well, do they forget, or are they going to need a little bit of repetition? And the family's like, yes. I'm like, do you think twice a week would be better? Yes. So I almost always get the 8 visits for a month paid up front.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, just making sure. Are you credentialed with other insurances or just Medicare?
We're only in network with Medicare, but the other ones pay really well. So I don't really have any desire to get in network. I heard in this group that once you're in network, they might not pay as well. So why bother? Yeah.
I know that you're working on discharge planning, but how is it going with getting into hospitals and rehabs? Are they letting you in due to COVID?
I don't like dropping it on places. So I'm not going there. What happens is patients go to the hospital and they tell them, like my patients who I have a relationship with go to the hospital and they tell the discharge planners, we want home therapy solutions when we go home. Of course, because I instruct the families, that's one of the benefits of real estate. I know about sales. So I instruct the patients to tell them, make sure when you get there that you tell them when you come home, I want home therapy solutions to resume. Then the discharge planner is calling me saying, okay, this patient says they want to use you. What's your fax number? And I'm like, okay, here's my fax number. And by the way, here's what we can offer to make your life easier. Because remember, you are just in their way right now. But if you say, here's a way to make your life easier and add a tremendous amount of value to them, then they're like, please email me your information. And then they start sending patients to me. And then I have an open door to send my information to them. So
Awesome.
yeah, I hope that answers the question. I don't pop in.
How do you market yourself and your business to the CM, I'm guessing care manager or I don't know so that they choose your company versus home health, or is that the patient family decision? I'll just chime in quick while she's thinking. I mean, if a patient needs home health, at least for my business, we want them to get home health. We're different than home health. We're not the same as home health. Just so, I mean, people know that.
Yeah. And we discharge people to home health because they're just either like very medically unstable, or they develop wounds, or they just need a nurse. If they only need therapy, then obviously we want to be the therapist because we're better. And we really, really are. But yeah, and we've had patients who've had a fall, like we're treating them and they've had a fall and broken their arm and they go to have surgery. And I'm like, you really want to use your Part A benefits, just use it, do it for a month, and then we'll be back. And sometimes it's just playing the game too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. And so marketing to like most of my patients I met because of my relationships in the senior care community, which I've had that for a long time. My whole real estate career was like people who are 90 and above are my favorite people. So I'm like, I want to focus my real estate career with seniors. So even that, I've had a very solid networking group. So when I decided to go into OT, everybody was like, okay, we're on board. And so I would say developing the relationships is the number one thing that's worked for me for getting patients.
Awesome. Okay, so I know you guys still have more questions for Regina, but we do still have 2 other people left. We maybe should have did part 1 and part 2, but we can come back. So I'm going to go to Carly because she is also in the Eastern time and has been up teaching since very early this morning. And we can bring, if Regina and Dawn and Mike and everyone wants to come back, we can always come back and do more webinars, more discussions and so forth as well. And these are like in our therapy business builder program, one thing that we've started to do on a monthly basis is to do networking sessions. So everyone who has a hybrid mobile practice, for older adults, we do a networking session. Megan did one a couple months ago. Carly did it last month. Sue doesn't know this, but I was going to ask her to do the next one. But I mean, Regina, Dawn could be next on the list to also do those networking sessions as well. So, yeah, so thank you, Regina. Let's move to Carly. And then Sue, I mean, it's early for Sue. You could be here all night yet. So, okay. So Carly, you're up.
Thank you. I have to unmute myself. Sorry, I'm like half asleep. Long day. So it was really interesting to listen to everybody. I really enjoyed listening to what Mike had to say. There's a lot of good information there. I was happy about that. I really back like 99.9% of everything that he said uh, and was talking about. I think that so many of those things are so important. So my name is Carlene Rhymes. I launched my company February of 2020 through the Therapy Business Builder program, and COVID launched March 2020. So it was really an exciting time. Absolutely everything that I had planned, that things were going to go, and my marketing plan literally just like went flying out the window. It shifted from the idea that I was going to go in these doctors' offices and I was going to explain PDGM and why this practice was so necessary, to nobody letting anybody in a doctor's office. And if you picked up the phone and tried to call them to market, they were going to hang up on you, to me sitting down and saying, who's still open and who's still seeing patients? And the answer was chiropractors. So they were really my way in the door and have opened some very interesting things for us. But really, because of that time, I had this instance to just be able to sit there and throw 20 balls in the air and say, hey, let's see what sticks. And we've had almost all of them stick at this point. So we have a lot of different things going on. I'll look at my own list to go through it. Today was my first day teaching at Florida Gulf Coast University. I teach a 3-hour course now every once in a while on neurodegenerative diseases, especially Parkinson's. And in return for that, they are taking my research and moving forward. So I was introduced to my 4 students that are going to be working with me and moving forward in researching and improving sensory outcomes and proprioception, resulting in improved outcomes for Parkinson's patients, which is extremely necessary. I live in Naples, Florida. I'm not sure if I said earlier, but in Naples, Florida, they think that during season we have the highest population of Parkinson's patients in the world. I would say at any given time, even as a secondary diagnosis, 75 to 80% of our caseload has a Parkinson's diagnosis associated with them. And that's a lot of people. Right now we have 4 PTs. We are in search for another PT. I have another OT. I have a PTA and an OTA and a full-time office assistant. And we're growing like crazy. We are on a wait for patients. We just can't keep up with the amount of those people that are coming in at this point, which is a good problem to have, but also does give me a little bit of anxiety sometimes. I think everybody else can relate to that type of growth. We have teamed up with a company that it was near us called Lifestyle Healing Institute, and they are in the process of launching an online platform to assist people who can't afford these big fancy recovery institutes, to help them with neurodegenerative diseases and more chronic illness and how to improve their illness themselves. So the platform will be a monthly fee, and we've been asked to provide a lot of the videos for recovery for that. And the way that it would be set up is their model is Beachbody. And I've never done Beachbody, but this is how it's been explained to me, so I could be wrong, is you go in, you take an assessment, the assessment kind of pops out this information that, hey, you might be falling under these categories and this is what you need to improve. And then it starts giving you videos on how to improve them. So we are working with them starting next month to start filming these videos. Some of the categories we'll be working on is vertigo, balance and falls, posture correction, Bell's palsy, Parkinson's. So they've given us quite a few different diagnoses that they'd like us to create videos for. We've created a cash pay aquatic therapy program that our PTA runs and does a great job. We got picked up by FODA for an 8-part Parkinson's course that we put together for the Parkinson's Association. We are presenting that October 13th, which is a Sunday, which is kind of funny, but that's the stage that we got. And we recently teamed up with a construction company to help them launch a aging in place model here in town. There is a lot of money in Naples, Florida, if you're not familiar. Sometimes ridiculous money. I've never imagined that I would show up at somebody's house and call them and ask why they're not there, and they would tell me that they jumped on their private jet and went to Italy for pizza, but it happens here. So it's a different town, and they are working on launching a aging in place construction company, but they don't want it to look like aging in place. So they don't want ADA, but they want things to be useful. They want to have everything built in. They want art pieces instead of grab bars. They want these type of items to come in. So we're working as a consultant with them on proper height and grip strength, possibly doing evaluations for those people that will come in. But right now we're just kind of looking at things and saying, well, that's not safe, or that's a possible option as a solution, building built-in ledges in showers rather than having a grab bar because the people don't want to see them, vetoing all things marble. Those type of obstacles are really the role that we've taken at this point. Kara, you're welcome anytime. We'd love to have you. Does anybody have any questions for me? I haven't that thing.
And you're an author. You're working on writing your book too, right?
I am working on writing my book. That was part of the request to participate in the holistic website, was they wanted us to have something a little more solid. So I started putting that together. I was kind of resistive to it, to tell you the truth, but I did hear Mike talk once about the writing of the book, and that kind of pulled me
in. Carly, how do you manage all this yourself?
I don't do it by myself. Absolutely not. I have I have an OTA who I've hired, and she is full-time. So she's kind of a tag team with a lot of my patients. She comes with me Monday and Tuesdays and sees the patients in person with me, so they feel more comfortable that she's the person coming the other day without me. And we had a lot of pushback at first that anybody was going, I made the mistake of marketing the company as me. And that was a mistake, because people don't want somebody else. They'll sit and they'll wait for me. I have a lot of doctors on caseload and retired doctors, and they won't take a PT. They don't care that it's knee pain. They would rather me come in, and I'll sit there. I'll be like, I don't even know the muscle structure there, and they will literally say, I don't care. That you're the person that needs to do my recovery. You're the person who understands, you communicate better, they will wait. So with that type of growth, I needed some type of assistant, and that's worked better for me. So on days where she's not with me, she's either seeing patients directly or she manages our plans of care, because I think anybody who works with Medicare can tell you that keeping tracks of plan of care is kind of a full-time job in and of itself. So I was happy to hand that task over. I also have a billing and person who's our distance administrator, and she answers the phone and doesn't anything else I ask of her. Pretty much, she's wonderful. I would be lost without her. If she walked out tomorrow, my company would close. I would literally have no idea what to do.
And this is one of my favorite things that Carly does. The OTA, when she comes with her, will help her write notes, right?
Oh yeah, she writes almost all my notes at this point. Even when she's not with me, I'll call and dictate my note to her while I drive, and she writes them.
Yeah, I am totally gonna start doing that. That is awesome.
It's the only way. It's the only way I'm not working till 1 o'clock in the morning every night.
And Carly has they're asking about patient, or CODAs can see patients in the home without supervision. So we'll talk about that at the end. I'll address that in
Depends on your
when I
state,
talk.
I believe.
What?
I think it depends on your state right now.
One, yep. So state, but also, I mean, with COVID, they eased the supervision requirements and so forth. So, Carly, Gabrielle wants to know, how did you make all of these connections? And then Rosalind asked, what's the Parkinson's program, LSVT? Question mark.
We're producing
those two
our own
questions.
program for Parkinson's. We created an 8-part program that we presented in conjunction with FGCU, that we presented to the Parkinson's Institute of Southwest Florida. And we had, I should know the number of participants, but I don't remember. I think we had 32 total participants that came through. And after that, they just sent it to FODA to see what they would say, because the school sent it and that looks better for them, and they picked it up and approved it. So I had worked with each of these students and trained them on what we do with Parkinson's. I don't use LSVT big principles of it, yes, but I believe a little bit more in a more ergonomical approach, more modification based on the person. Improving sensation is really the biggest basis of our Parkinson's program, because if people don't have to look at their feet, they obviously have improved benefits. And utilizing neurological connections to overcome and playing around high instances of tremor, we do a lot of training on that.
And what do you bill for insurance?
We bill Medicare. We'll bill out of network for other insurance if it's possible, but like I think somebody else said, a lot of them, it's just not worth it. So our billing person does a great job of breaking it down for them that says, hey, we can bill your insurance, but this is what it's going to end up costing you that way, versus if you do cash pay, if they're not Medicare. And 90% of the time, the people decide to go cash pay anyway. But we do take traditional Medicare. We have a lot of retired teachers here from different teachers unions, and those policies have been really good to us. We've had 0 issues with them, and they reimburse really, really well.
Is the 8-session program course you have available for other therapists to use?
It's not yet. I wasn't really expecting it to continue, to tell you the truth. It was really my in with FGCU was volunteering to do that, because I wanted them to pick up the bigger research, and I wanted them to see that what we were doing was different and feel the benefit of it. So I went in and just volunteered my time for that. From that, picked up the course to teach, which I taught this morning, and they picked up on the research with the sensory brush. They brought in a biodex, which I had never even heard of before, but that's going to be one of our basis of measurements for improvement of muscle interaction. It's a very interesting machine if you get a chance to Google it, and hopefully that'll be able to prove that improving proprioception and improving sensation in these Parkinson's and CVA patients improves outcomes, improves ergonomics, improves environmental interaction, reduces falls, and all of those things.
Awesome. Lisa, we'll talk about that at the end too, for sure. Okay, any questions specific to the different programs or things that Carly has done and created and so forth? So again, another perfect example of someone who started her mobile practice and just created all of these amazing programs and joint ventures in her community.
I think one of the things that Mike said that we should all just like totally embrace is you only need one yes. You can get 1,000 no's, but you only really need one yes, and that can get you moving. I used to play this game that I would literally just, my husband was working from home too, and he would sit on the other side of the wall and just crack up laughing, where I would call doctor's offices, and if it didn't go well, I'd hang up and I'd go, oh, well, I'm going to try you back in a week, but now I know your name. And so then you call back a week later, they forget that you ever called and had a terrible conversation. You now know the front desk person's name, and you make it a little bit further than you did last time.
Exactly. You got to be relentless. You can't take no, or you just got to keep on moving. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carly. You get to bed. You've had a long day, and I'm sure you have a busy day tomorrow. So I appreciate you being here. And now we'll move on to Sue.
Hi.
What time is it there, Sue?
It's only 5 minutes to 7, so it's early.
Thank you, Carly.
So I've been going for a long day too. So yeah, so I guess I'm talking about just the extra things that I do, but I do have a mobile practice. I do have a small office, and I do focus predominantly on home modifications, living at home safely, and fall prevention. But I think you wanted me to talk about some of the other different things that I've been doing. So I do have an evidence-based stroke recovery exercise class that my stroke survivors participate in. It's twice a week, except when I broke my foot. And I've had to put it on hold for a couple of weeks because I can't do the exercises myself. But we're getting back to that now. And it's coming out of research programs in Canada. So that is really good. And there's the handouts and exercises with it. And they have really loved it and have seen a lot of improvement. And they're still getting therapy as well on top of it. And that's cash-based. And so that's really good and really helpful. And so we have where it focuses on general overall movement, balance, and safety. But then there's also one looking at recovery pieces, so that I mix two of the programs together over the 2 sessions for that. And we started that in COVID because people were telling me they weren't able to get out, they're not able to do the things that they were able to do before, and they couldn't get to their regular classes, and the participants have just wanted to continue. So I use basically Zoom to do that, and have worked with the clients at home, since most all of them are my patients, so that we've been able to set up the Zoom setting so that they can participate. So that's really good, and I can watch them on camera. And then I've had, my students do that when I've taken students and things like that. So that's been really good as well to do that. Then I also helped with setting up a free clinic for people who don't have health insurance. And I've been working with that now for, oh my goodness, 13 years since we set it up. And got the 501c3. We now have a $1.4 million facility that we just opened a few weeks ago. But as part of that, I set up rehab services there. And then I wrote a grant with the physician for treatment of chronic pain, and developed an evidence-based chronic pain self-management program, and run that online. And they use their grant money to pay me, and I get paid to manage the program, and also paid for pre and post assessments. So we've been collecting data and stuff with that. And we run, it's an 8-9 week program that's 2 hours once a week. And at the moment online. And so that's really helpful as well. Less time, but we have done it in person before that. And that is really so productive, just the changes in the clients. And I kind of feel like I'm doing a bit of case management there too, because I'm trying putting together the pieces when I see them. But the class, we were able to demonstrate in the 120 patients that we did the initial data collection on. My background is a PhD researcher, by the way, as well as OT for 40 years. And so we crunched the data, we were able to make significant changes in pain, physical function, and depression and anxiety. So it was just that good all-around sense of OT, but I do teach it with a mental health professional and with a dietitian that volunteered to do that. So that was one program. So I think, being able to involve yourself in some community organizations, and you've heard the stories going along of helping them write grants to extend their services, get your services covered as part of that, the Capable program, some of the other grants that people have been talking about. Well, this is also one way here as well, being engaged in that. One of the other places that I helped write a grant that I didn't talk about here, but it did do home assessments. I worked and volunteered for the first 5 months. We did a demonstration program for a nonprofit home care that predominantly saw Medicaid patients. And one of the things was to try and get clients to be able to stay in their home. Well, of course, it still was useful for this nonprofit home care agency because they were still their clients then. But they were finding things like yard maintenance, ramps, bathroom modifications, and things like that were a problem. And so we had set out where the OT would come in and do the assessment if it required stuff getting in and out of the house or access stuff in the house. And then they did significant fundraising so that they had a grant fund to cover the modifications. But one of the things as an OT I was able to help them with that was, all of these clients, I can bill their health insurance because I'm both credentialed with Medicare and with Medicaid. So I'm able to save you the money that way. And because I know the system and know the issues, I'm also able to connect if they're on Medicaid waiver programs with the case managers and talk their language in terms of being able to get some issues covered. But I also know that a lot of this with DMEs and stuff, we could get covered through Medicaid. So that way I was able to help them be most efficient with the funds that they raised and still keep the people in the client in the home. So that was really helpful. And then I do a lot of wheelchair assessments. And so that comes about a lot because I was doing home assessments, but while I'm there, I'm looking at all of the equipment the client has and realizing, particularly when I'm evaluating like a person who is, 25 or 35, who has cerebral palsy or spina bifida, and realizing once they're out of the school system, nobody has regularly followed them to update their equipment. And they're now sitting in equipment that is not suitable for them. And so I started reaching out to the DME providers and working with them for those evals. And then what I found was they said, well, I have this other client. Can you come and see this client with me? And so developing that relationship then allowed them, I'm the one person in the community now that they can call to come out and see the client, or they can bring the client into my office. So that's been really helpful with that. And then there is design, material selection, and working with contractors. So I do have some clients that are private pay. And with those, they often want me to do a design for the bathroom, sketch out that they can take to an architect or work with their contractor. And we've been working on some material selection in terms of, things like, I want to make sure your tiles non-slip. I want to make sure that we're looking at nice grab bars here, a good vanity that you can come up to in a wheelchair. So those kinds of things. So that is also private pay because that piece is not covered under insurance. So that is really an important piece of the whole program there. Okay, so let me go back through some of the questions that I find here. So yes, chronic pain is great. I'm actually putting together a book on that, and I have an 8-session handout that will have that therapists can follow all the way through on that. I am in Washington State. Yes, thank you, Connie. I have a whole class on how to build wheelchairs and what code. Unless you're doing something else aside from the wheelchair, you cannot build for an evaluation code. You need to use the wheelchair code, which is the 97542, but I have a whole course on that piece that's there. So those are some of the things that are really important, but I'm going to go back to what everyone else is saying. It's really those connections that you're making, and knowing your community and working in your community and looking at those opportunities and following up on what you're doing there. So that really is, I think, what gives you those opportunities and helps you move forward in the community. One of the things that I'm working on now is that I wrote a grant with the Area Agency on Aging, and it got turned down, but they said what I wanted to do is to be able to go out into our rural areas. And I'm like, I'm fine to bill the insurance for the eval, but that doesn't cover the hour driving in each direction. So, you know, I need funding to be able to provide these services to the rural communities where they're not getting funded. They turned it down this year, but they asked me to rewrite it for next year because they had a couple of big movers and shakers that applied for their grant opportunity this year. And one of them was our local fire agency, fire departments. And they presented on that the other day. And so we're actually working together because they're like, we wanted an OT. We couldn't find an OT who could come into the homes and work with us. And they're looking at their frequent fallers. And of course, they get calls all the time to come and help pick people up, right, off the floor. And so now we're working with them to develop a program where our company will be offering the OT services that will be coming and evaluating the home. They do have someone who has the senior home safety specialist, but then they realize that there's more needed. And so that's some of the programs we're developing there. So any other questions related to that? All right, any other questions related to any of the other callers that are on there while we're waiting for Cara to come back? Yeah, Connie, I'll be interested as well, but the fire department is definitely one area to talk to. And the other area right now for home mods therapists is going to be the Meals on Wheels as well. They're all just pushing to do more with that. So let me just look, there's a couple more questions. So yeah, my grant writing experience came from two things. One was the university, of course. The other part was working with the free clinic, and where I was director of operations there, it was totally grant funded. And so did a lot of grant writing for that. With the fire department, we're working that out. They do have some grant money, but again, a lot of these clients are going to be Medicare, Medicaid, and Medicare, Medicaid patients, if it's medically necessary, which for a lot of these it can be, again, what you're going to see is that we can bill insurance. So that is going to keep the grant money then available for getting someone to install the grab bars. And in fact, the firemen themselves will be looking at potentially installing the grab bars, and my recommendation when they have free time. So that's one of the things they do. And then I always do our usual intake paperwork for insurance for all of my patients anyway, for billing that with them unless they're not going to be. And how long do you spend start to finish for your home mods? I actually, most of my home modifications assessments are insurance based. I do have a few that are private. They're done very differently. And that's something we talk a lot about in our home mods course, because you have to differentiate what is your evaluation and what is your ADL components and what that looks like. And I can spend anywhere from 1 hour to 2.5 hours or more, right, Cara? Yes. Okay. I think I answered all the questions there.
Okay, awesome. Well, since we're reaching almost 2 hours, I will, where'd I put my screen? Come here, Kara. Did I delete me? I think I deleted me. That's funny.
That is funny,
Well, I must have accidentally deleted me. So let me try to remember what, actually, I should have the Canva up on my page before I edited it and deleted myself off of there. So let's see. Anyways, so I'll just try to remember and talk about what I was going to do. So we do group fitness classes too. So the current place the first place that we started was at an independent living apartment complex. So it's not an assisted living. It's not connected to an assisted living or nursing home or anything. It's an apartment complex for 55 plus. And I reached out and collaborated with them. They wanted to do something like this, and we're excited to have us come to do this. So my occupational therapy assistant runs the fitness classes twice a week. And now we're kind of the preferred, or we're, provide therapy services to people in the building for PT and OT. Actually, during the presentation, I was getting messages. We are bringing in other services to the building as well. My husband's a clinical psychologist, and where they work, they have clinical psychology students. And one of the requests from someone in the building was a grief support group. So she's going to be running the grief support group. We're also looking at doing some other activities. And I know people are going to ask about payment. So at first, we did this just for doing it because it's a great way to get new clients and so forth. And they are going to be paying us for the fitness class as well. So we're working on a new agreement and kind of contract with that. So that's fitness classes. We do we started a program called Community Connections. And basically what this is, it's twice a week or twice a month. And it is for clients with dementia and their caregivers. And we host it at a local church in town. And it's a place for the caregivers to come and connect with other caregivers. And then in another room, we have the clients with dementia, and then we do different activities, exercises, things with them. And that we do, again, free. It's a great way to get out there in the community, but it's kind of a little glimpse. We are writing a big grant, and who knows if we'll get it, but if we do, it's to help do more of these programs for clients with caregivers. And as far as grant writing, I work with the local university, the occupational therapy department, the med school, and so forth. And they actually take the heavy weight of the grant writing with that. I I also collaborate with the university. They have a Dakota geriatrics program. And with their program, they have a program called the HATS, HATS, and I can't think exactly what that term means without my little cheat sheet in front of me, but basically what they do at the med school, and they have a geriatrician, they are able to do geriatric wellness assessments. And how we collaborate together is our occupational therapy assistant goes into the older adults' homes and connects via telehealth to the university, where med students, OT, PT students, and so forth do the assessment. Again, it's just a good working relationship with the med student or with the med school, with the different programs and so forth in town. And questions, how does the grief support get paid? So we found a student that is doing it as part of her training, and she's paired with a clinical psychologist. The fitness class, the people at the facility or the owners of the building actually pay us a fee for that as well. And yeah, I know I had a bunch more things, but I will tell you guys in the beginning, just a little bit ago, my daughter told me that our dog was really injured. So probably going to have to cut it short here and kind of wrap up. I know people wanted to know more about the Skills to Care program, and I said I would discuss that. So the Skills to Care program is a training. Rachel Wiley does it on. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have webinars on the Skills to Care program, and it's a fabulous training. It's a program specifically for caregivers with dementia, and everyone in the Next Level group. You get a $250 discount on that, as long as you make sure that you let me know and I can send you the link, or I'll send it out in emails, so you guys have that as well. Okay. Another question a lot of people had was about the OTAs and PTAs with Medicare Part B. So with therapy in private practice under the Medicare regulations, is OTAs and PTAs require direct supervision in the home. But during the pandemic, they eased those requirements or the supervision requirements. So during the pandemic, OTAs and PTAs have been able to go into the home. We do not know what's going to happen. There's a push to encourage Medicare to keep the eased restrictions, because it's stupid. They can go in the homes for home health Part A. Why can't they for Part B? So hopefully that clears up that confusion. Is there any other last minute questions or things that you guys had that we did not answer? Nothing. Oh, yes, thank you. That was on my list. Sorry, I kind of space cadet. The other thing we do, and so we have a client that he had a stroke and he was in the rehab, and instead of going to a transitional care unit or a skilled nursing facility, or there's another rehab place, the family wanted to bring him home utilizing our company. And we've been in there daily doing physical therapy and occupational therapy 5 days a week. I'm in there for an hour and a half at least each time when I'm in there. We also have our OTA is going there in the afternoons, evenings, well, later afternoons a couple times a week, and functioning more as a wellness type aid. She helps, instead of them hiring a caregiver or somebody like that, they didn't really want people in there or outside help in there. They would have rather had, you know, someone from our business to do it. So she goes in and she does the bathing with him. And then she also does additional therapy in the afternoons with them, and they pay private for that. As far as how many billable units can you charge in one session, it depends on what is needed and what's appropriate for the client. I mean, if you're charging a bunch of billable units all the time, you will need to be, you know, that might be a red flag. But I have sessions where we are in there for a while. Yep.
I love that you mentioned that. One of my PTA that I just hired is a CNA. So one of our facilities that we go to, we have like, I think 10 patients there. So that's 20 visits for her. So being seen twice a week for twice a week, right? 10 patients twice a week. Well, you know what? The other residents there, they pay her out of pocket just to, you know, help her bathe and everything. And the residents just loves her. She's there. We're not technically the in-house or whatever, but guess what? And everybody wants just to work with Sharonica. I mean, she's my PTA there. You know, so sometimes you just have to think outside of the box, you know, and just open your mind to the opportunities out there. And I like this group. Kara, I mean, I feel like I want to be an OT now. You know, because there's so much potential. Us PTs, all we do, you know, I get students, like all we do, manual therapy, blah, 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 gait training. OTs, there's so much potential. And here we are trying to tell ourselves we're limited. No, there's so much potential, especially if you're an OT. I mean, I'm a PT now. I feel like I want to be an OT. You know what I mean? Because there's so much potential in OTs. So I'll stop talking.
Awesome. Someone asked about 5 days a week, like the 1.5 hours of therapy. So this is a client that, again, should have went into a facility, and it's a private insurance. So they're paying us to provide therapy at home. So they're actually saving a lot of money versus paying for them to stay at a facility. So it's not Medicare. I would be a little nervous doing that for Medicare, but I do know some people that have seen people 5 times a week for a few weeks on Medicare, but and you can do it. I mean, you got to be able to justify it, and is it skilled and medically necessary? I mean, we're talking a guy that came home with absolutely nothing on the right side, and now, I mean, he's doing great, and we're getting functional movement on the right, and so forth. So they can't question that we're not making improvement with them. And beyond that, the family was willing to pay for anything as well if it wasn't covered, but awesome. Okay. Any other last minute questions that we didn't miss? I think we caught it all. And whatever I forgot to talk about, we'll cover in another webinar. So anyways, so I live in North Dakota. And because we always like to share information and help you guys, there's a lot of opportunities out there. So thank you, Sue. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Megan, Carly, Regina, and Dawn. They all are moved on because it is really late their time. So, and thank you for all of us that stuck on until the end. So we'll send out the recording. And if you have any follow-up questions, email me, okay? So since I removed the information, you can at least see my email address and so forth there. So you guys have a great day or a great night and rest of your week and weekend. Talk to you soon.